Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic:
what's a survival myth popularized by movies that would actually get you killed in real life? Jumping down onto a pile of garbage bags. I always think about the sharp objects I have thrown away. That literally happened to a friend of mine. He was drunk and jumped onto a pile of garbage bags on a NYC curb and then got up with a gaping gash, like 5 inches long and very deep to where you could see all the fat, in his back. This was right beside Times Square and an ambulance was literally parked like 100 meters away. One of the paramedics searched the trash bag to see if he could find what my friend got stabbed with, but they couldn't tell. They gave him a tetanus shot and patched him up pretty shoddily at the hospital, and the wound ended up getting infected a few days later and he had to be hospitalized for IV antibiotics. It also scarred so badly that he ended up getting some sort of plastic surgery revision to it several years later. Would not recommend. Flashback to the time I saw a Manhattan trash bag rustling on its own due to the rat's inside confused face. The idea that if someone has been shot, you just need to remove the bullet and they'll be fine. Removing the bullet isn't usually going to help, and in a lot of cases, you're just going to make things worse by increasing the risk of bleeding and/or infection. Removing the bullet only works if you also happen to have a metal tray to place the bullet in and hear it loudly clink. Victim is 90% more likely to survive if the bullet is removed by a beautiful woman who seems petite and fragile but is actually surprisingly tough. Movies taught me that throwing a little whiskey on everything does the trick. Oh, that's another good one. Most liquor is approximately 80 proof. That's not going to sterilize stuff like movies suggest. It's got to be minimum 120 proof to sort of sterilize, but ideally at least 140 proof. So the whole idea of sterilizing equipment with liquor lying around is false. Literally every recovery time. Most of these people would be out for weeks recovering from injuries, not fighting just fine hours later. Bridgerton recently did the opposite. Someone got a little scraped up by glass, the wound was infected by that night and they had to spend over a month in recovery, I believe. It's okay, he had a little cottage nearby. Pulling out the sharp object you've been stabbed with. It acts as a plug. Let it in. Edit. The amount of people still arguing about pulling it out is appalling. I took 2 first aid course through school and witnessed 2 stab wounds. To increase your chance of survival, you stay put and call for aid. Don't you go aggraving your wound by moving around needlessly. If you must absolutely move, then you still keep it inside. Because it is a plug, even if it hurts like a bitch to mose with it. And you'll bleed out faster by yanking it out. Also, as someone commented, you don't know if the object is not hooked to anything important, or just resting against it, while in there. Eat it too, leave it in. Not let it in. Wrong English there. Baguette. But if someone does pull it out, please don't put it back in. Especially not in a different place. Had a similar situations about 20 or so years ago. Friend had impaled his hand on something and they wanted to pull it out. Knew that was a bad idea as we did not know the shape of the thing, let alone what would happen taking it out. Turned out the bent screw had hooked a bone in his hand. It was a very good thing we hadn't pulled it. My ex got a fish hook stuck in a butt cheek very close to his rectum. His friend drove him to the hospital while he kneeled on the truck seat. Being a true fisherman, he asked for the hook back once it was removed. You can knock someone out and they'll wake up fine later. Yep, like Archer said, that's super bad for you. Archer also got it right with the gunshot level of sound as well. Shooting a gun in an enclosed space, it not a good idea. Or choke someone unconscious so you can sneak into the base without killing anyone. Either you choked them to death or they wake up in about a minute. Batman only thinks he doesn't kill anyone. He's killed loads of people. They're sleeping. He jumps down on people from a roof. And they don't get up again since he fucking crushed their spine. Just waking up after 4 hours following a pistol whip. Where am I? Well, better get back to my mission. Gets up and immediately falls over from the concussion. Especially when someone is knocked out long enough to transport him to a faraway second location. That's called a coma, friend. Shooting the driver of a car and expecting it to stop before it runs you over without jumping out of the way. That guy is dead, he's not hitting the brakes. The shootout scene from Heat got this right. Driver dies, car keeps getting lit up and doesn't stop until the tires are shredded and lock up. Heat is an amazing movie for many different reasons, and that's one of them. The audio in the street shootout scene is often discussed. If you have a nice audio system, go watch this movie. Giving injections directly into the neck. Go ahead and hit that carotid artery. I met someone that used IV drugs and would shoot into their neck. They had an abscess cut out that was the size of a pool ball. They also had broken a bunch of needles off that were stuck in their neck. IDK how they were still alive. Doc here. IV drug users are immortal. Well-adjusted healthy people without serious vices die of pancreatic cancer. In the TV show Eureka, there was a situation where someone's skin was turning super tough for some reason, so they couldn't inject them, and the nurse injected the meds into the patient's neck as a last resort, then leaned over them and said, "When you become a nurse, never do that." And I thought that was really good. That was pretty good. Eureka has its share of fantastical nonsense and pseudoscience. In the first season they bring up the 10% brain myth, but it gets some things right, which I've always liked. I think it helps that the show has historically had some massive nerds on it who, while not actually in the fields they made stories out of, probably helped keep the show even the slightest bit grounded. Notable names are Felicia Day and Will Wheaton, but there are a lot of others on the show. There are lots of things that movies show stopping bullets that would not stop bullets. There is an old VHS we used to show at BUST, Basic Urban Survival Training, at Camp Lejeune called Cover vs. Concealment, Know What You're Hiding Behind. And let me tell you, ain't a lot of stuff gonna protect you from .308 or larger. They built mock houses of various materials and filled them with various furniture to represent stuff like a brick house, stick-built office, metal buildings, so on. Things like TVS, computers, full filing cabinets, beds, all that jazz. Most stuff punched right through these things. I, as a young Marine, had a terrifying reality check watching that. Edit. IDK what all they used. I'm remembering back to a VHS made in the 90s that I saw almost 25 years ago. I have no idea if these structures were built to either contemporary or modern code. It could have just been a single brick thick wall or empty cinder blocks. All I know is bullets go through stuff. Edit 2, Editorial Boogaloo. A helpful Redditor found part of the video https://youtube.be/lprgupdexjq?mark C=I_q4nwh4ioe2_LFM. The best chance of survival that you have from hiding behind something is that the enemy can't see exactly where you are behind a solid object, so they might miss. I like the detail in the Sarah Connor Chronicles where Sarah uses a chair to shield herself from bullets because of course she'd bulletproofed it beforehand. I barely remember the show, but I imagine Sarah Connor would buy a loaf of bread and immediately bulletproof it. I just saw a YT video of someone firing different .22 rounds at a car and the FMJ went completely through the first door and through the interior of the door on the other side. The only thing that's going to give you any kind of real cover in a firefight is the engine block. They make cover and concealment interchangeable in movies. You can apparently fire a handgun all day long without ear protection and not suffer severe, possibly permanent, hearing loss. What? You can apparently fire a handgun all day long without ear protection. There is a fan theory about The Walking Dead that all of the characters' hearing is getting worse and worse from that, and that's why they seem to get more easily surprised by walkers as the seasons go by. You can easily survive being close enough to a big explosion that throws you through the air and onto the hard ground like a rag doll. You can totally just get up, dust yourself off and run away with full health intact. My dad's friend died in a massive explosion *. He's not burned or anything, he's waiting at red light on his motorcycle when the shockwave hits him. The coroner said he's dead before he hit the ground, all his internal organs are a mash, but my dad said he looked very peaceful. The only injuries you can see is the little scratch he got from falling off his motorcycle. * propane leak in city, blown up 4 Major Street and killed 32 people, injured more than 300. His organs mushified from the shockwave itself. Doing CPR compressions randomly with bent elbows. The person then wakes up just fine. And giving electric shock to everyone who's dead like they literally rise from dead every time. Yes, asystole, flat line, is not a shockable rhythm. Also doing CPR and having the person come back to life just fine. No cracked ribs, no pain, and for the elderly or infirmed, no long-lasting consequences, like not making it at all. Can confirm had to perform CPR on my dad. He survived. 10 out of 10 would crack 3 of his ribs again. You can get off a deserted island on your own in a homemade raft. If you do that you will die. You will die. It could be from starvation, exposure, dehydration, your raft could fall apart, there's storms and wildlife and currents you don't know how to navigate. Unless you are a very experienced boatwright and sailor, you will die. Then, on the 4th day, he roped himself a couple of sea turtles, lashed them together and made a raft. Quote, "If monkeys can write Shakespeare, then I can get off a deserted island with some palm leaves and a coconut." It was the best of times, it was the blurst of times. As an experienced sailor, I concur. And the ocean is huge. You will absolutely not be rescued from a homemade raft. Odds are against you getting rescued in a state-of-the-art lifeboat with all of the best survival supplies unless you have an EPIRB. Hell, if someone sees you fall off a boat, you only have a 17% chance of being rescued. An emotional support volleyball is what really matters in these situations. Go ahead and fight a whole group of motherfuckers, they will 100% wait their turn and certainly not all jump you at once. The game mount and blade handles this remarkably well. You might be a knight with full plate armor and a two-handed sword, but a dozen peasants dressed in tattered rags simultaneously rushing at you can and will take you down. You can't swing your sword because they're all rushing you in too close. Your arms are pinned and the peasants are pushing and shoving and stabbing you with tiny knives the whole time. You're completely helpless and will probably die unless you can escape that somehow ASAP. Being outnumbered in this game is really bad news. Eating cacti for hydration. Like anything, you need to know exactly what it is you're eating, and if you don't it can put you in even graver peril. Some cacti makes great eating and yeah, it's full of moisture, though I'd cook it first. A lot of cacti will make you barf. Some cacti will make you barf and then hallucinate. Edit, a detail so obvious I didn't think it was worth mentioning. Don't eat any of the pokey bits. It's the quenchiest. It'll quench ya. Look, a giant mushroom. Maybe it's friendly? Question mark.